What if I told you the food in your kitchen is about to vanish and you won't even see it coming? We're talking milk, citrus, coffee, cereal, not luxury items, staples, essentials, the things you use every single day. Right now, major grocery chains are sounding the alarm. Supply chains are cracking, farms are shutting down, warehouses are going dark, and by the time August 2025 hits, these shelves could be empty. This isn't a maybe. This is already happening. So the real question is, will you be prepared when your basic groceries just don't show up? Or will you be standing there wondering why you didn't act sooner? Number one, traditional dairy milk. Milk isn't just a drink, it's a foundation. It's how your kids start the day. It's what you cook with, pour into your coffee. It's a part of your life, even if you don't think about it. But right now, that foundation is collapsing. Three of the largest dairy suppliers in the country, Golden Valley Farms, Sunshine Dairy Corporation, and Midwest Milk Producers, are set to shut down completely by August 2025. That's 28% of the U.S. milk supply just gone. And no, they're not closing because of bad business decisions. They're closing because they can no longer afford to physically feed their cows. Feed costs are up 65% in just a few months, wiped out by extreme weather that destroyed crops across the country. Then there's labor, which has increased by 40%, and new environmental rules that require expensive equipment that most small farms can't afford. One thing goes wrong, then another, and then another. It's like dominoes falling. And by the time people realize what's happening, it'll be too late. And what does that mean for you? Prices are about to explode. Milk that costs $4.99 today could spike to $8.99, or even $10.99 per gallon by August. And that's not some wild guess. That's coming from industry analysts watching the numbers in real time. Some families might think they'll just cut back. But milk is woven into daily life. It's not just about pouring a glass. It's ingredients, baking, protein, calcium, nutrition for your kids. Cutting back has consequences. So what do? You get smart. You act now. Here's how you stay ahead. First, start exploring plant-based milk alternatives. Not all of them are good, but the best ones are ready for this moment. Companies like Planet Oat, Silk, and a new one called Nutriflow have tripled production capacity and are already rolling out new options that are just as nutritious as dairy milk. Same protein, same calcium, and still around $3.99 per half gallon. Second, if you're not ready to switch, you can still protect your supply. Start buying milk with the furthest out expiration dates. And yes, you can freeze milk. Just leave space in the container for expansion. It'll last up to 6 months frozen, and all you have to do is thaw it in the fridge. Third, check for local farm co-ops. They're popping up fast, offering direct-to-door milk deliveries that are 20 to 30% cheaper than supermarket prices. One woman saved almost $200 a month feeding a family of 4 this way. That's how you stay one step ahead of the panic. Not by waiting for headlines, but by reading the signs and acting before everyone else wakes up. And look, this dairy crisis, it won't last forever, but the next few months will be tough. We're watching a major system struggle to survive, and smaller farms are trying to fill the gap. This is the beginning of a reshuffle. The smart ones will adapt. The rest will be stuck paying $11 for a gallon of milk, or worse, standing in front of an empty fridge with no options. So what's it going to be? This isn't about milk. It's about what happens when something stable suddenly isn't. You've got time, but not much. Act now. Stock smart. Try new options. Prepare while it's still a choice, not a crisis. Number 2, citrus fruits. You probably think oranges and lemons are safe. They're always there. In your fridge, in your water, in your recipes. But right now, citrus is collapsing in front of us. And most people have no idea what's coming. The fruit you take for granted is about to become a luxury item. And this isn't a guess. This is backed by numbers that are terrifying. Florida's citrus industry, the same one that built the orange juice economy in America, just got wiped out. Not damaged. Wiped. Outside. Massive floods destroyed entire orange groves. Farmers are reporting full generations of trees lost. Not just this year's fruit. Actual trees gone, and once a tree dies, it takes years to replace it. We're seeing the worst harvest since the 1960s, and it's not getting better. If you're thinking, we'll just get citrus from California, think again. California groves were slammed with an unprecedented frost event. Temperatures dropped so low and so fast that protective measures didn't even work. Young trees froze, orchards were ruined. Some growers say recovery will take 3 to 4 years minimum. That's not a seasonal shortage, that's a long-term hit to supply. Okay, but what about importing? That was my first thought too. But global transport is a mess. Shipping costs have jumped 65%. Port delays are stretching into weeks, not days. Fuel prices are killing long-distance trucking. Fresh citrus is rotting in containers before it even reaches the store. So imports aren't just expensive, they're unreliable. And when something like fruit can't move quickly, it dies. That means prices are about to get brutal. Those $5 bags of oranges, you might see them go for $12 to $15 by August. And good luck finding fresh lemons at all. Some stores may have none. Others may charge double or triple. And this isn't fear-mongering, it's already happening in wholesale markets. Prices have jumped 45% in the past month alone. Now here's what you can do. First, stock up on frozen orange juice concentrate. It lasts up to a year and is easy to store. Look for 100% pure squeezed on the label. They're a little pricier, but way better long-term. Second, start indoor citrus growing. It sounds wild, but it works. Dwarf lemon trees can grow in sunny windows or with a grow light. It takes time, but if you start now, you'll have a real harvest in 2 to 3 years. There's also a smart shortcut. Lime juice. Mexico's lime crop hasn't been hit nearly as hard. In most recipes, you won't even notice the difference. I've been using lime in place of lemon for weeks, and honestly, some dishes taste even better. Prices are stable, availability is decent. It's a simple switch that makes a big difference. And if you're the kind of person who likes to plan ahead, watch for hydroponic citrus kits. They're already gaining traction. These kits are optimized for small spaces and growing fruit faster indoors. They're selling out on a lot of gardening sites, which tells you other people are waking up too. You don't need a farm. You just need a corner of sunlight and a little time. Experts believe citrus shortages might ease up soon, thanks to international trade agreements being negotiated. But that's a big maybe. Until then, you'll want to be strategic with every lemon, every orange, every bit of juice in your fridge. Because once these prices hit hard, most people won't know what to do. But you will. This isn't just about citrus. This is about how fragile everything really is. One storm, one freeze, one supply chain hiccup. That's all it takes. So now's your chance to stay ahead. Start building your backup. Freeze, substitute, grow your own. Because the next time you reach for an orange and the shelf is empty, you'll be glad you didn't wait. Number 3, coffee. For millions of people, coffee isn't just a drink. It's how the day starts. It's comfort, it's focus, it's routine. But right now, that routine is under threat like never before. And if you're the kind of person who needs that first sip to function, you need to listen. Because what's happening behind the scenes is about to spill into your kitchen, and not in a good way. Let's start with Brazil, the coffee capital of the world. They're facing the worst drought in 50 years. Farms that have been producing beans for generations are seeing yields crash by up to 40%. It's not a small dip, it's a collapse. Satellite images show over 30% of Brazil's best coffee-growing land is under what's called severe moisture stress. Translation: the plants are suffocating. This hit is especially brutal for Arabica beans, the smooth, rich flavor most premium brands rely on. With Arabica in short supply, big companies are switching to Robusta beans from Vietnam. Robusta is stronger and way more bitter. It's mostly used in instant coffee and cheap espresso. So if your morning brew has started tasting a little off, that's not your imagination. That's a supply swap happening without warning. Now the prices are spiking, and the panic is already starting inside the industry. Major coffee chains are issuing warnings to shareholders about supply chain restructuring. That's code for we can't get enough beans. One brand is even limiting bulk purchases to prevent hoarding. That's how serious this is. They're prepping for chaos, and most consumers don't even know it yet. But here's where it gets even more personal. If you're a cold brew drinker, you're in the crosshairs. Cold brew needs higher quality, darker roasts to work. But dark roasts are getting hit hardest because they need top-tier beans to start with. Brands are already experimenting with medium roasts, but the flavor just isn't the same. And they know it. Some are even trying out new roasting methods to cover the taste gap. So, what do? First, if you've got a favorite coffee brand, stock up now. Store your beans or grounds in an airtight container, in a cool, dark place. Done right, coffee can stay fresh for 6 to 8 months. That's enough time to ride out the first wave of shortages, and it'll give you time to explore new options before you're forced into them. Second, get curious. Try Vietnamese Robusta blends. They're more available and surprisingly decent when brewed right. If you're an espresso lover, they actually work well for bold shots and iced coffee. There's also a growing wave of coffee alternatives, from mushroom coffee to chicory root to roasted grain blends. They're not the same, but some are shockingly close in taste and far more stable in supply. Third, look local. Small batch roasters often have direct deals with independent farms. That means they're less vulnerable to global supply crashes. One roaster I spoke to last week showed me their personal stockpile. They're treating it like gold. And honestly, they're going to be the ones who make it through this storm with beans to spare. And then there's the future. Labs in Seattle and Portland are already testing bioengineered coffee plants that use 50% less water. In Finland, they're experimenting with lab-grown coffee with no beans at all. But that's still years away. Right now, we're in the middle of a real-world disruption. And it's moving fast. Coffee isn't just another item on a list. It's tied to your daily rhythm, your energy, your peace. And if it disappears or becomes unaffordable, that loss is going to hit hard. Not just for you, but for 25 million workers worldwide who rely on coffee to survive. So don't wait for your shelves to go empty. Don't wait for the price tag to jump overnight. Stock up, adjust early, prepare your backup. Because when the beans run out, you'll want to be the one who saw it coming. Number 4, snacks. If you're like most people, snacks are the cornerstone of your daily routine. Whether it's chips, cookies, or a quick handful of nuts, snacks are the go-to for that pick-me-up during the day. But what if I told you that those comforting, familiar foods could be gone soon? The truth is, snack foods are already disappearing. And it's not because we're snacking too much. It's because our supply chains are falling apart. Let's start with potatoes, one of the most fundamental snack ingredients. In places like Idaho and Washington, where 60% of the nation's potatoes come from, the harvest was down 23% this winter. That's a huge hit. And it's not just one bad season, it's part of a larger trend of crop failures due to extreme weather patterns. The result? Potato chips, French fries, and other snack foods are getting harder and harder to find. But that's just one part of the puzzle. Palm oil, a key ingredient in many snack foods, has been hit hard as well. Indonesia, which produces the majority of the world's palm oil, has cut exports by half. This is crippling the snack factories around the globe that rely on palm oil for everything from cookies to crackers to chips. If palm oil isn't available, companies have no choice but to either reduce production or raise prices. And then there's sunflower oil. The conflict in Ukraine has led to a drastic drop in production, leaving sunflower oil at a 15-year low. This oil is used in everything from chips to salad dressings to baked goods. Prices have already jumped 30 to 40% in some areas. If you've been to the store recently, you might have noticed the empty shelves in the oil aisle. This isn't just a coincidence. This is supply collapse happening in real time. Now, it's not just the ingredients themselves that are at risk. Packaging is another major issue. The aluminum shortage that has been gripping the globe is affecting more than just soda cans. Snack food packaging is also made of aluminum, and companies are paying 3 times the price for packaging than they did last year. In some cases, the cost of packaging is higher than the cost of the snacks themselves. It's leading many companies to rethink their entire product lines and cut back on packaging. Some snacks might even disappear because the packaging is too expensive. The end result? Snacks are going to become more expensive and more difficult to find. In fact, experts are predicting that 40% of snack brands will either disappear or become nearly impossible to find by August 2025. You may walk into your local store one day only to find that the chips you've always bought are now gone. Or the cookies that have been your go-to for years, they'll be out of stock, replaced with higher-priced alternatives. So, what can you do? First, start by thinking smarter about your snack purchases. Buy in smaller quantities but more often. That way, you won't be caught empty-handed. And keep an eye on local snack brands. They're often more resilient because they rely on regional supply chains that aren't as vulnerable to the global chaos. These smaller companies have been flying under the radar, but they're the ones who will likely still be able to get snacks onto shelves when the big brands run out. Second, stock up when you can. Yes, you can stockpile snacks, but do it strategically. Look for items that have a longer shelf life: crackers, granola bars, dried fruits, and nuts. These things aren't affected by oil or packaging issues the same way chips and cookies are. When you see a sale on your favorite snack, grab an extra bag. The key is to buy smart, not hoard. Third, be flexible. Don't wait until the shelves are empty before trying something new. Start experimenting with local or regional brands right now. You might find that the local brands are just as good, or even better, than the big-name snacks you've always relied on, and don't panic buy. This only drives up prices and makes shortages worse for everyone. Instead, start building your snack reserve gradually. The goal isn't to panic, but to stay ahead of the problem. The bottom line is this: snack food, like so many other essentials, is about to become a scarce resource. And if you're not planning ahead, you'll be left scrambling when those shelves go empty. It's not just about the food, it's about being ready for when comfort food isn't as accessible as it used to be. So, what's it going to be? Will you wait until the crisis is in your face? Or will you start building your snack plan today? Act now, stock up, and stay one step ahead of the chaos. Number 5, canned goods. Canned goods are the cornerstone of emergency preparedness. They're cheap, they're reliable, and they last. But right now, they're on the brink of disappearing from your grocery shelves, and if you wait too long, you might find yourself standing in front of empty aisles. It's already starting. 3 of America's largest canning facilities are operating at only 65% capacity. That's not a temporary glitch. That's a massive red flag. And it's not just one issue, it's a combination of factors that's pushing canned goods to the edge of extinction. Aluminum shortages are a huge part of this crisis. The metal used for canning has become extremely expensive due to global supply issues, and manufacturers are paying 28% more for raw materials than they did just a few months ago. This is hitting canned goods the hardest. The cost of making a can has skyrocketed, and companies are being forced to pass those costs onto us. If you've been noticing higher prices on things like canned vegetables, soup, or beans, you're not imagining it. That price jump is just the beginning. But aluminum isn't the only issue. There's also the transportation problem. The recent storms in the Midwest derailed the entire rail system, leaving tons of canned goods sitting in warehouses, unable to get to stores. Thousands of cases of food are stuck in limbo, unable to make their way to your local grocery store. This is a major problem that's affecting everything from canned tomatoes to tuna to soups. And the purchase limits on canned goods in some grocery chains? That's not just a coincidence, it's a warning sign that we're heading toward a supply crisis. If you're thinking, oh, well, I can just buy canned goods from somewhere else, the reality is a lot harsher. The transportation costs and delays are affecting every store. So, unless you live in a small town with a local food supplier, your options are going to dwindle fast. And it's not just the larger chains. Local stores are feeling the pinch too. The bottom line is, when it comes to canned goods, we're looking at a perfect storm of rising costs, shipping chaos, and supply chain failures. Prices are already up 42% in just one quarter. But what's even scarier? It's the looming risk that some of your favorite canned staples, like canned tuna, tomatoes, and black beans, could simply vanish. If the canning facilities can't keep up with production and there aren't enough cans to go around, the stockpiles will be drained faster than you can blink. So, what do? First, start building your canned goods reserve. Don't panic buy, but do start buying a little extra each week. Focus on items you actually use: beans, tomatoes, tuna, soups. Look for store brands because they're often made in the same factories as the premium ones. And make sure to rotate your stock. Canned goods last 2 to 3 years if stored properly, but they need to be rotated so you don't end up with expired products when the crisis hits. Second, watch for markdowns. Grocery stores typically mark down canned goods on Wednesday and Thursday mornings to clear out inventory. It's the best time to stock up without paying full price. And if you're savvy, check smaller local stores. While big box retailers like Walmart and Target might be stripped bare, local shops may have better inventory and lower prices. These smaller chains are often less dependent on international supply chains, so they're more reliable in the midst of chaos. Third, don't wait until the shelves are completely empty. If you need canned goods for your family, buy what you can now. Start with things you use most: beans, tomatoes, tuna, soups, and work from there. Don't assume you can grab a case of beans at the last minute when the shelves are bare. Plan ahead while the options are still there. We all know the power of having canned goods in your pantry. They're the backbone of quick meals, emergency supplies, and easy comfort food. But what happens when that comfort starts to disappear? When a simple can of soup is no longer available? That's not a hypothetical. This is happening right now. The next few months could be bumpy. Prices will rise, shelves will be emptier, and if you're not prepared, you'll be fighting for scraps with everyone else. Don't wait for the disaster to strike. Start your reserve now. Buy wisely, prepare ahead, and be the one who's ready when the shortages hit hard. Number 6, breakfast cereals. Breakfast cereal isn't just a meal. For many, it's a tradition. The colorful boxes, the sugary treats, the classic childhood nostalgia. But what if I told you that some of those beloved cereals could soon be disappearing forever? It's already happening behind the scenes. The Midwest, which is responsible for the majority of the country's grain production, has just suffered a devastating blow. Extreme weather patterns have wiped out 30% of the wheat and corn crops. That means the very grains that make up the foundation of your favorite cereals are now in short supply. And this is just the beginning. Experts are warning that cereal manufacturers will cut production of certain products in the coming months, leaving some boxes permanently discontinued. You might be thinking, well, they'll just make more. But that's where the problem deepens. Production costs have gone up 175% in just the past 8 months. The cost of raw materials, labor, and transportation has skyrocketed. And these big cereal companies? They're quietly pulling certain products off the shelves before most people even notice. Your kid's favorite cereal could vanish overnight, leaving you scrambling to find something similar. But it's not just the big brands that are struggling. Smaller organic cereal companies have also been hit hard by the same price hikes. In fact, some of them are already merging just to survive. 3 popular organic cereal brands just merged into one in their first move, slashing 40% of their product lines. That's 40% of your go-to organic cereals gone. This isn't about just losing a few boxes of cereal. This is part of a much larger food system collapse. As grain becomes harder to come by and more expensive, manufacturers are looking for ways to cut costs. And cereal? It's one of the easiest targets. Consumers can live without cereal, but they can't live without the grains that make up everything else on the store shelves. So, what does this mean for you? First, you need to start preparing alternatives now. You can't just wait for your favorite cereal to disappear and expect a quick fix. One of the best alternatives right now is overnight oats. You can buy a container of oats for a few bucks and that'll make you 15 breakfasts. That's a lot cheaper than a $6 box of cereal that barely lasts a week. It's already growing in popularity. Sales of oats are up by 340%. People are catching on that oats are a cost-effective, healthy alternative to cereal. Another option to consider is frozen smoothie packs. Retailers are transforming their freezer sections because demand for smoothies has shot up by 200%. It's a quick, easy, and nutritious alternative to the cereal bowl in the morning. Plus, batch cooking breakfast burritos has become a game changer. You can prepare a few dozen in one go, freeze them, and you've got breakfast for weeks. 30 minutes of prep time equals 2 weeks of breakfast. But don't think this shift is just about breakfast. It's a wake-up call that the food system we've relied on for decades is changing fast. If cereal, something we've always had access to, is vanishing, what does that say about everything else? It's time to start exploring new breakfast options today before the shelves go bare tomorrow. So, what can you do right now? First, try alternatives like overnight oats and smoothie packs to make sure you've got a healthy, low-cost option. Second, start experimenting with meal prepping for breakfast. Make it a new routine. Stock up on items that won't disappear in the coming months. And third, keep an eye out for those organic cereals or smaller local brands. They might become your new go-to when the big players fall. The breakfast cereal crisis isn't just about what's happening in your pantry. It's about rethinking your food system entirely. Act now before your breakfast disappears too. Number 7. Frozen foods. We've all relied on frozen food. Whether it's the family-sized bags of veggies, frozen meals for those busy nights, or your late-night pizza fix, Frozen food is one of the easiest ways to make sure you've got something in the freezer at all times. But what if I told you that the frozen food crisis is already upon us? Here's the problem. Energy costs are soaring. In just the past few months, electricity prices for cold storage facilities have gone up by 78%. These warehouses, which keep your frozen meals fresh, can't keep up with the rising costs. Some smaller facilities are already closing down because they can't afford to run anymore. The larger ones are running at only 62% capacity, picking and choosing which products to keep. The reality? If your favorite frozen foods don't make the cut, they're gone. What does this mean for you? The foods you stock up on in the freezer aisle, your frozen vegetables, fruits, frozen pizza, ice cream, are all at risk of vanishing or skyrocketing in price. Frozen food suppliers are dealing with double the operational costs, and many companies are dropping products just to keep the lights on. If you rely on frozen food to feed your family or to get you through busy weeks, you need to prepare now. But don't panic. There are ways to stay ahead of this. First, start building a smart frozen food reserve. Don't go overboard, but grab an extra bag of frozen vegetables, fruit, or frozen meals each time you go to the store. Stocking up gradually is key so you don't find yourself scrambling when those price hikes come. Focus on essentials, the items you know you'll use. Second, look for frozen food alert systems. Major grocery chains are starting to implement these systems. They'll notify you when your favorite frozen foods are back in stock or when new shipments arrive. Not every store has them, but those that do are becoming a lifesaver in this chaotic time. Third, diversify your frozen food options. Think beyond just the basics. Look for flash frozen items that might be a bit different but still incredibly nutritious. There are options out there. Flash frozen produce, meal prep kits, or even frozen prepared meals that could help you build your reserve without relying on the same old frozen pizzas and bags of peas. Finally, track your local stores. Start mapping out the stores that have the best freezer inventory. Some regional areas are better equipped to keep frozen food in stock, while others are struggling. Stay ahead by checking multiple stores and being strategic with your shopping trips. The frozen food situation is temporary, but the next few months are going to be tough. These shortages won't last forever, but until new energy solutions are found, the industry will be facing massive challenges. The smart shoppers are the ones who stay ahead of the curve, not waiting for shelves to empty before they act. So, what's your plan? Start now, stock up smartly, prepare, and you'll be the one who's ready when the crisis hits. Because when it's gone, it's going to be gone fast. This isn't just a warning, it's a call to action. The food system is changing fast, and if you're not preparing, you're going to be caught off guard. These shortages aren't far off. They're already happening. From dairy to citrus to canned goods, the foundation of our daily meals is crumbling. But you don't have to panic. Stock up smartly. Adapt early. The ones who act now will be the ones who have what they need when others are left scrambling. Don't wait for the shelves to empty. Take control of your future today. Stay prepared, stay ahead, and stay safe.